Welcome back to 1 month 1 deck with Eevee Box. Now this week was the first tournament run with the deck, and let me tell you, I learned a lot from it. Now in round 1 my opponent no-showed, so that was a free win, but I really wish that I could have played that game out. It was against Joldango, and I felt like that could have been a good matchup. Now in round 2 was against Goldango, and while I did win, this matchup was a absolute nail-biter. I won't spoil anything yet, but you'll see exactly how it went in the matches later in the video, so be sure to look forward to those. Now in round 3 was against Gardevoir Jellicent. This is our absolute worst matchup because of Jellicent being able to turn off all of our items. Now, I tried to set up Sylveon early, but my opponent knew the matchup perfectly, but ultimately Gardevoir took it in the end. Round 4 was against Pidgeot, another tough matchup for Eevee Box. We had a rough start and my opponent capitalized fast, taking the win. Now with 2 losses, I knew my run at Top Cut was over, so instead I decided to just drop from the tournament and start improving the list right away. Now, and here's the tournament list that I used. It's mostly the same as week 1's list. The only changes were swapping out one Iono and Brock Scouting for Serrano and a second Poffin. These changes actually made a big difference in consistency. Serrano came up constantly, letting me grab 3 EXs at once. Now, and here's the list after the tournament though, and I made some massive changes here. So starting off, I cut one Crispin, the Colorful Friends Eevee, the Super Rod, and then one Electric and one Psychic Energy. I added Ursaluna as a strong, reliable finisher, a second Stretcher for recovery, Glass Trumpet, which has great synergy with both Ursaluna, Terapagos, and Eevee in the late game, Black Belt's Training for those clutch KO pushes when going for game, and finally a Jet Energy as an extra switch card for matchups like the Jellicent where we can't use our trainer card. These upgrades have felt fantastic. The deck flows way smoother now. It finally has a proper late game plan. I highly recommend giving this new version a try. If you want to test either list though, both deck lists are in the description below. With all that being said, let's get into the first game to show you. Alright, so game number 1 is that Goldango matchup from round 2. As you see, our hand is horrible here. We have 3 energy, a Crispin, a counter catcher, and a boss's orders with a Fez in the active. So we have access to none of our main engine. Our opponent started off first. They have a Lunatone. They attach a metal energy so they can retreat next turn. As for us, we top deck into another energy. So all we're going to do is just do that attach and pass. Our opponent now is able to play a supporter for turn because it's their second turn, and they play Arven. So I'm just thinking about what all they could have. Luckily, my opponent didn't have Precious Trolley. What they do have as their ace spec is that Prime Catcher instead. So just as dangerous for us. Now here they get down the Air Balloon plus the Fighting Gong, so this is going to give them access to the Soul Rock, so now they will be able to start drawing 3 cards every turn by discarding an energy. As for us, we really will most likely have to use this Crispin in our hand and then just start trying to snipe things. If our opponent does get down a Gimmighoul, then we'd have to try to snipe that. So here they just hit for 70. We top deck into a Flareon, which is doing nothing in our hand either. So now we're just going to use this Crispin. We're going to get our last Psychic plus a Water Energy because the Psychic's not going to be really necessary in this matchup. We don't need Sylveon, and we're just going to start sniping. Now then, I choose to go after Lunatone in this match, but really you should be going after Solrock instead. The only saving grace that we have right now is that we're both bricked up right now. So our opponent is going to draw 3, and then they're going to play down this Arven and be able to get other things that they need. Now, most likely they're probably going to grab a Nest Ball because their list isn't running any Buddy-Buddy Poffin. With them getting that Nest Ball, they're going to get a Gimmighoul from it. So now we are in a very awkward position. They will be hitting us for 70 damage with the Soul Rock as well, putting us at only 70 HP left. So now we either knock out the Gimmighoul or we knock out the Lunatone and stop the Soul Rock from attacking. Either way, our Fez is going to get knocked out next turn. Luckily, we top deck into Nest Ball. That's amazing, and it is our saving grace at this point. Now, there's a lot of choices that I could choose here. I'm thinking about doing the Colorful Friends, but I decide no, let's just get this Tera Eevee. It's a lot harder for them to get rid of, and this makes it easier for us to be able to knock out that Lunatone and be able to take that knockout. Now then, I do think that that could have been a mistake. I probably should have taken out the Gimmighoul, making sure that they didn't have a Goldango, because I am a little bit worried that if they have 4 energy plus a boss, they could actually knock out our Eevee before we can go into Flareon. Then all we would have is just this Fez plus the Nest Ball that we got from our prize, and we'd be hoping that we can get into some sort of play next turn through those cards. Luckily though, our opponent doesn't seem to have the boss, otherwise they probably would have used it right there. We do see one of their tech cards, which is that Cramorant, which is a pretty cool tech card from them. It's not a super good answer to things like Cornerstone, but it is still a answer nonetheless that they can use alongside their Soul Rock to be able to get rid of things like that. Now then, here, our opponent did use that Superior Energy Retrieval, but they don't have the boss, so they are just going to take a knockout on Fez. Now, and we will be able to go into this Flareon next turn, and with this Nest Ball, we actually could get down another attacker and be able to start powering that up. We do top deck into that Hoothoot, so we will definitely get that down as well. And for our other attacker, we don't really have any other good choices with the way that our hand is, so we're just going to get down this Terapagos, because with their Cramorant, that's the only thing that would really be able to hit it if we are able to power up and use Terapagos' second attack. So that's exactly what we're going to do, is just power that up. We already have the Grass Energy in hand for next turn in case they do take a knockout on our Flareon. Now in here, they do promote up the Soul Rock. They do have the Air Balloon on the Soul Rock as well, so that way then they can still attack with it without having to actually discard the energy to retreat it when they want to go into something else. Now in here, they do get down the Lunatone, so now they have their card draw energy back. And as for our hand, it got way better from those prizes. We got a Noctowl from the prize, which is huge. We can actually use that guaranteed next turn to be able to search for a bunch of cards depending on what we need there. So here our opponent is starting off with their third Arven now, 3 turns in a row. And now it's just a tough decision of what they want to get. They really need to get more Goldangos established, so they need to find ways to do that. Instead, what they're going to do is they get their Prime Catcher, so they're probably going to now focus down the Hoothoot, but that is fine with us because we are guaranteed to take a knockout next turn, which is going to turn off that Cramorant as well, so they're only going to be able to get one real good use with it. So here, that's exactly what they do. They Prime Catcher up the Hoothoot, they attach a Fighting Energy to the Cramorant, and they will be able to swing for 120 damage, knocking out our Hoothoot. Now, and they do take a prize, going down to 3 prizes remaining, so we do need to be worried a little bit about that. We top deck into the Stadium, which isn't very useful here, and then we're just going to boss up their Gimmighoul and take a knockout using Terapagos, saving our Flareon for later. That way then, whenever they do get another Goldango down, we actually have the answer still on our side of the field without having to worry so much. Along with that, the Terapagos attack is actually huge here, because that means that Soul Rock can't deal any damage to it, and Cramorant, we are already down to 2 prizes, so it can't even deal any damage either. Here, my opponent is using that Earthen Vessel so they can thin the deck a little bit more, getting some more energy out of there, so that way then they have a higher chance of being able to hit the cards that they need. They do use a Super Rod here to be able to put back double Gimmighoul, because they do need to find those. Now they use the Lunatone to be able to draw 3, they find double Gimmighoul, which is huge for them in getting those down. Now we know that they're going to be able to go into a Goldango next turn for sure. They also promote up the Cramorant because it is useless right now, and then they're just going to pass the turn. As for us, we top deck into another Flareon, which we aren't going to use. We don't need to play anything because there's nothing to really play from our hand. We will take a knockout, keeping our Flareon safe. Now, our opponent could have a boss at this point. They're down to only 15 cards left in deck, so there's a very high chance that they do, in which case we will have to be relying on top decking into a boss, which we only have 1 more copy of in our deck in order to be able to win the game. We need some sort of gust effect for that. Now in here, they do play down that Genesect just to thin their deck a little bit more after going double Goldango. And now it is just how do they want to handle this situation. First, they're going to coin bonus in the active, drawing 2 cards, then attach the air balloon so they can go into the other Goldango and be able to draw 2 more cards instead of just a single card. Now in here, they are going to use this Fighting Gong just to be able to shuffle their deck a little bit and make sure that there were no fighting energies left. Then they use Lunatone to be able to draw. Now in here, they do use the boss, so they will be able to take a knockout on this Flareon, because I'm pretty sure that they have enough damage at this point of the game. Now they also get down the Fez, so they're able to draw 3 cards from the Fez as well, and then they are going to start doing their superior energy retrieval. Here they do get 4 energy back, they attach 1 to the Goldango, and they do take a knockout here for 300 damage, discarding 6 energy. So now it comes down to this. Do we top deck boss's orders? And there we go, we top deck the boss's orders, so we're able to use it immediately, get up the Soul Rock, and take the final knockout on that for game. Man, what a game 1, right? For game 2, I just want to show the Gardevoir matchup so you guys can see some key mistakes that lost me the game, so you guys yourselves don't make those same mistakes that I did. And as you see, we start off with the Wellspring, which is very strong in this matchup specifically. Now in here, we do have the Fan Rotom as well, so we're able to get double Hoothoot down. And then we will be able to get down to this Eevee that is the Tera one. I debate for a second about the Colorful Friends, but I side no, let's just get down the Tera one instead. That way then we guarantee that we have a Tera Pokemon. We will be attaching to the Wellspring and using that other Nest Ball to get down the Pidgey, because we do know that the Pidgeot is going to be a huge important factor in this game. Now in here, our opponent starts off with a Arven, so most likely they're going to grab the Secret Box because that is their strongest play here, and then grab most likely a TM Evo as well, because they could then use that this turn too. They did win the coin flip and did choose to go second, so they do have everything set up. Instead of the TM Evo, they actually just grab the Bravery Charm, and here they do grab that Secret Box. So they're going to use the Secret Box first, getting rid of a Dark, a Psychic, and a TM Evo as well, which means that they do play multiple TM Evo. So we know that they are going to be doing a different play like that. They do get a Lily's Compassion, a Artisan, a Nest Ball, and a Air Balloon. So with this Nest Ball, they will be able to get down a second Ralts if they would like, and then if they do have the other TM Evo in hand, they will be able to go into double Kirlia. Now they do play down the Artisan as well. Because we have a full bench, we're not going to be able to take use of it just yet, but we do have ways of being able to take use of it later on if need be. With that Artisan, they do get down a Frillish, then they're going to finish up their turn by attaching that Bravery Charm to one of the Ralts, making it a little bit harder to take a knockout on there. Now, we do top deck the boss, and that did make me think for a second, but we are just going to use this Noctowl, get down the Serrano, and then grab a Rare Candy as well, making sure that we do have the Pidgeot in our deck before we confirm these choices. So we do have the Pidgeot, we do have a Latias as well, and we do have the other cards that we need, which is the Sylveon too. So here we are just going to do exactly that. We grab those 3, then use the Rare Candy to be able to go into the Pidgeot, put down the Sylveon, and here I do make a mistake. So what I do here is I do use the Pidgeot and do my attach for turn to the Wellspring, and I am going to be using my Sparkling Crystal on the Wellspring just to be able to do some damage to the Monkey Dory and then knock out that Ralts with the Bravery Charm. What I should have done instead is, seeing that they do have double Ralts and I'm not going to be able to take out both of those, I probably should have just been attaching the energy to the Sylveon and then using Sob to be able to lock their Monkey Dory in the active, forcing them into a Mind Bend play next turn, and leaving me able to go into Sylveon the following turn by searching out the Crispin, making it so I could actually get rid of double Ralts. So that is a huge mistake on my part, so don't make that same mistake, folks. Play better than I do. But here, they are going to use a Earthen Vessel. This is going to be able to get rid of the Jelly Scent and get 2 energy, and that kind of tells me that they do have a Night Stretcher in hand as well. Now, and with this other Earthen Vessel, they get rid of another Psychic Energy, and then they use another Earthen Vessel to get rid of the final Psychic Energy in their hand, and then Ultra Ball to get rid of the remaining ones. Now in here, they do have the Fez, so they will be able to draw 3, and then they go into the Rare Candy Gardevoir play. They are going to attach a Dark Energy to Monkey Dory for turn. They have the Air Balloon on it as well, so they will be able to retreat into a different attacker. They also use that Night Stretcher to be able to get back their Jellicent, so they can actually go into that and start attacking with that and locking us out of trainers for our following turn. Luckily, we do have the boss's orders in our hand, but they do have a counter catcher, so they are able to start dealing damage to our Sylveon before we can even get it powered up. So now you see the reason why I said that we made a massive mistake by using the Wellspring to do an attack rather than focusing on just building up the Sylveon. So here we are going to be able to Stadium Bump, and I am going to Pidgeot first before playing down the Latias. And we will be just grabbing a Noctowl because we will be using that this turn. So with this Noctowl, we can actually grab 2 things. We can grab a Crispin, and then we could also grab the Switch, or we could grab the Switch and the Buddy-Buddy Poffin. There's a couple different avenues that we can do in order to give us still a chance to use this Sylveon later. So we know that we are going to grab the Switch now, and then we decide let's just grab the Buddy-Buddy Poffin as well, because we can use Pidgeot next turn to actually be able to search. But we should have grabbed the Crispin instead of the Buddy-Buddy Poffin, and that would have at least given us the energy that we need, and then we would just have to do a search with the Pidgeot, which would have grabbed the final energy that we need to be able to attack next turn using Sylveon. So that was another mistake that we made here, but we will be able to saw block this Monkey Dory into the active for a turn as long as they don't have things like Turo in their hand. They only have 4 cards left in their hand, so there is a high chance that maybe they don't have it in there. Now in here, our opponent is going to take a second to really think their play through. They are going to attach a Psychic to the Monkey Dory just so they have the Mind Bend whenever they need it. They do get another Rare Candy into a Gardevoir play just to be able to make sure that that Roltz doesn't get knocked out by another Wellspring attack, and they are just still moving damage over to the Sylveon. Here they finish off their turn with that Mind Bend to make us confused, and then we have the Pidgeot that we were going to use during our turn. We did top deck into a Crispin, which is real nice, and here we're just looking through our deck, seeing what type of answers we have, making sure that we have enough energy as well, and I'm just trying to think about what the best avenue is, so we just get another Noctowl. Here we will be deciding on putting down the Latias or not, because it could give us free retreat. Right now, it is a coin flip on whether or not our Wellspring is going to be able to lock for another turn. So what we're going to do is just go into the Fan Rotom and then use this Crispin right now, which is going to be able to get us the energy to put onto the Sylveon and on the Fan Rotom, so we can take a knockout on this Monkey Dory this turn, being able to take at least 1 prize here. We are already ahead in the prize race, but that doesn't really matter as long as they knock out our Sylveon and stop us from getting our trainers. Now in here we are taking that prize, which is a Turo, which could be very useful later on as a means of stopping them from stalling the game if they do decide to go after like a Noctowl, bringing that up, and then just trying to stop me from being able to retreat. Now in here they do promote their Jellicent, and then they are going to use this Ultra Ball, just thinning their deck and thinning their hand, making sure that it's only the cards that they really need for this matchup before using this Lillie's Determination to draw 8 cards. Now in here they do have the Super Rod, so they will be able to put back something like the Monkey Dory, the MEW EX, plus a Dark Energy, so they can actually draw into those later on. They do use the Fez to draw 3, and then they find the Counter Catcher, which is going to bring up the Sylveon, and they will be able to take a knockout on the Sylveon this turn. So, as you can see, we made multiple mistakes by not prioritizing Sylveon early, which is what we should have done, and that is costing us the game. Now in here, they are just going to be moving some damage around so they can try to take multiple knockouts in a turn. They do knock out the Sylveon, taking their first 2 prizes of the game, and then we're going to have to throw up this Wellspring. Now, we do still have answers to things, and we're just going to have to play in a specific way to do so. One of the big things that we can do here is use this boss's orders, which is our final boss, pull up the Fez, which we will be able to lock for a turn. Now, and there is still a chance of us winning here, so we're going to use the Super Rod, put back the Eevee plus a Psychic Energy, and we do put back the Sylveon, which I do think is the wrong choice because I didn't see this play in the moment, but what I should have done is use this final Noctowl to search out the Stretcher to be able to get that Sylveon back and be able to put that onto our Eevee. But because we did Super Rod it back, we would have had to grab the Tera Orb instead to be able to get the Sylveon. Now in here, our opponent did have the Turo, so they were able to get out of the lock from the Wellspring, and they are able to get the Jellicent back into the active. So luckily we did put the Sylveon back now, but we probably should have had it on the field to begin with. Now in here, they do take a knockout using those Monkey Dories, being able to knock out that Fan Rotom, before swinging and taking 2 more prizes by knocking out the Wellspring, turning off our Noctowl entirely. Now in here, we are having to discard one of our benched Pokemon, so we just get rid of one of the Noctowls, and then we top deck into a Flareon. Flareon could potentially answer a Jellicent at some point, but the game is just so far gone that there's no real way of doing that right now, and we are just out of bosses, so we aren't going to be able to use a majority of our deck. We have to rely solely on our supports. Alright, so here we grab the Crispin, which is going to be able to get us 2 energy down onto the Flareon this turn. And that is going to be huge because we can have an avenue where we use the Pidgeot next turn, and then we will be able to one-shot this Jellicent. Now in here, I do make another little bit of a mistake by putting down this Fezandipiti. It does allow me to draw 3 cards, but now, as you see, I have 5 benched Pokemon and my opponent has 5. So there is an avenue that they can do where they can bring up the Clefairy, be able to put enough energy on it, and then use Monkey Dories to move the damage over to our Flareon and take the knockout. Here they did hit us with a Iono, hitting us into 4 different cards, and then they just swing with the Jellicent instead. So they didn't see the line either, and then after the game, me and them were talking, and that's when we started talking about some of the different mistakes that we had made. So here I do go into the Pidgeot just to buy myself some time. I am going to do the Pidgeot's effect, just trying to see what type of answers I could possibly have. We are just going to grab a Turo here because we could use that as a means of being able to survive another turn. And here we are just going to pass back. Now, we do have a Lightning Energy in hand, and our goal at this point is to get a Sylveon online. So here we top deck into a Flareon. We are just going to use this Pidgeot. We will be able to finally get the Sylveon into our hand and put that down this turn. Now then here we are going to attach that Lightning. I had to make sure that its Angelite needed it. And then I make a game losing mistake here. So here I'm trying to figure out what to go into. And I should have just went straight into the Sylveon. They would have been able to do a decent bit of damage, and they wouldn't have been able to necessarily knock it out just yet, unless they did see that Clefairy line at the end. So here we just thought too much during our turn, so we just promote up the Latias and give them the win. Now, I know that this game was riddled with mistakes on my end, but I'm still improving with this deck as well, and learning such a tough matchup takes a lot of time. So don't feel bad if you also make a ton of mistakes in your games, you're just still learning your deck as well. So here are my week 2 final thoughts. Eevee Box is such a unique and rewarding deck, but it definitely takes a lot of time to master, and I'm still trying to learn the deck to that level. Now, after the first tournament, I feel like I understand the deck quite a bit more, along with what weaknesses it has and what matchups I really need to practice. The updates that I made to the deck are making a huge difference, and I'm really excited to see how far I can push this deck into next week's tournament. Now, and if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. I post new Pokemon TCG content every Monday, Thursday, and Saturday, and I'll see you next time in week 3 of 1 Month 1 Deck with Eevee Box.